I believe we are live. Yep, that's what it says up there in the corner in red. Live.
I'm trying to find the post on the internet. Shall we begin?
Yes.
Good morning.
Good morning, everyone. Just wanted to show you our cards. This is the current incarnation of them.
And the book. The working copy. Of course, everything is a working copy, including us.
Subject to the impermanence and change. So settle in for a moment. We're going to invite you to participate, to make this an interactive event. So please feel free to find the little place in your screen where you can write comments and or throw up an emoji or something that just indicates you're there and participating. Settle in just for a moment and let your awareness tune in with your system. And go really slowly, connecting in with yourself as you settle in, letting your awareness scan your system from head to toe, including your emotions, what's been on your mind. The question that I usually ask is, what do I need to know now? I keep it really general. You can ask a specific question if there's something that's concerning you. And just, let it come up out of your system.
Empty and just listen for what's up.
Yeah.
Could be as simple as an illness that's trying to permeate your body or appearing to, or some distraction that's going on. Just listen. Your body is there telling you what's true.
So we have shuffled, and we are now going to draw a card.
And the card is for all of us, not just Anrael and I, so it's kind of what we need now. This couldn't be a better card. I just had a conversation with a dear friend this morning, and this is exactly what we were talking about. It's card number 51. It's all real. No thing is real. Nothing unreal exists. Nothing unreal can cause harm. Safe and free. We're all home here. Good card. And one that we fight tooth and nail. I'll let you go ahead and take a quick look at the card. Might want to hold it up a little bit longer.
Okay. I can do that. There we go. Hopefully without glare and everything. Okay.
Okay, so this seems to be a key sticking point for most people on the spiritual path. What's real? I mean, we think, okay, only God is real, so we're going to put all of our energy there. But wait a minute, it sure feels real being in these bodies, and don't they have a purpose? Because the tendency we have is to want it to be one thing or the other, rather than realizing it's actually both permeating each other. It's all real, and nothing is unreal. nothing unreal exists. It's all real. So if the body is having an issue, the body's having an issue, at least wise it appears to be. But then there's the other side of the coin that's really important as well, and that's the one that says that nothing unreal can cause harm. And so if you look at it, there's nothing that's unreal, and so nothing unreal that can cause harm, so really there's nothing that can cause harm. It's no different. I've been visiting with Anrael this week. What a delight. And she has a cat. I had been known to have cat allergies. And so laying in bed this morning when my sinuses were kind of playing a little bit, there was this whole, okay, wait a minute, nothing unreal can harm me. So why do I feel like I'm having these sinus drippings? Not even just feeling like it. I had the tissues in my hand for proof. And as I sat there, it's just, there's nothing unreal can harm me. And so it's the only thing that's harming me is my thoughts about it. My old programming, my old belief system that says cat equals allergy or bacteria equals illness or whatever. And so it's just the belief that is actually creating the appearance called allergy. And so when I stopped for a moment and I said, okay, that's what's going on here. I am the mystery. I am the majesty here. I am God itself. But the appearance is of a human with allergies. Then it seemed like the allergies just kind of, well, no more tissues in my hand. It's what we're focusing on right now.
The Holy Fool loves paradox. And
Does it
so
ever?
nothing is real, nothing unreal exists. In a lot of spiritual traditions, there'll be talk about illusion. Life is an illusion. Nothing is real. It's all of the mind's fashioning. And so in this particular articulation, we're encouraging there to be no argument with anything. There's a lot of talk these days about spiritual bypassing, where life is dismissed because nothing is real. So my experience isn't valuable. My very human experience isn't valuable. Quite the contrary is what we're pointing to here. Our human experience is the actual portal to the truth, where nothing is real and nothing unreal exists, and we get to be in that still point center in the heart of the paradox that includes the entirety of our human life and our spiritual being. Now, this kind of magnificence in life is usually missed entirely by people who go from being locked down in duality, identification. All there is this body. The material realm is all that's real, and all this invisible stuff is not real. And then other people who get on the spiritual journey and they go to the non-dual, and then this whole side of things gets absolutely dismissed as not real, and the only thing real is the infinite invisible. And yet as time goes by, suffering is still happening. Human life isn't working so well. The body is calling, come in here, because the journey all-inclusively is circular. And so we end up where we began, the Ouroboros, here in the body. So we've gone to the transcendent, and now we're here as the immanence, the presence, completely immanent and involved and engaged in human experience. So that's a lot of what we're articulating in the Holy Fool, is what life is like when we've opened ourselves into the realization that this is fully present here in our human experience, and they're wedded. They are absolutely together in one. And life from there, outstanding.
One of the other things that's really important to understand about this, it's not real attitude or it's real attitude, is that it has a tendency to put a layer of insulation between us and the direct moment. And so what we're doing with the Holy Fool cards, as well as this particular card today, is saying, make yourself available to the present moment. Whatever it is, whatever it holds. There's nothing right, there's nothing wrong. It's simply the present moment. And our present moment, each one of our present moments, is divinely designed just for us. Just for us. And divinely divine so that as we're present, as we're right here in the middle of it, regardless of whether we're calling it real or unreal or putting a label on it, is just to make ourselves so completely open and vulnerable that the moment just literally flows through us. And when it does, it literally just wipes through the system, clearing out the old programming and taking away with it the reference points that we used to use to call things real or unreal. And it just wipes out the conversation entirely, like it was never even there. And when we're no longer trying to figure out what's the right way to go, and just here with whatever's showing up, right here in our moment, no wiggle room, no trying to get out of it, no trying to improve it, trying to make it better, because the Holy Fool is all about this being a come as you are party. Exactly as you are, because as we are is how this has access to our entire system. And when it does, it just sets a whole new slate. And the slate that it sets in front of us is the majesty. Oh, I'm going to cry. The majesty that we are. Can you imagine living life as a majestic being and everyone around you as the same majesty? Mm-hmm. What would that change in our world?
That's really what we're looking at. Not only change in our own lives, because obviously people start some kind of spiritual search or engagement with whatever truth seems to be knocking on their door, is to end our own suffering. And that's such a wonderful starting place, because it's also the ending place. It's also the portal that's necessary. And so, you know, I mean, we've been around for a while. We've been at this for decades. And to be instrumental in bringing this articulation through is the joy of our lives, because we get to live it, and we get to live into it. We get to experience it fully. And that's the joy that we're attempting to share with people, is that there is a way of being fully human that is the fulfillment of the potential that created this world and this life to begin with. It's not really about a me having a better life. It's about this that I am coming in and through and bringing forth into the world what's necessary for fulfillment. I don't even want to go into better, into fulfillment of human potential. And that's the whole point. It really isn't about me being able to have a bigger house or a better car or boats or being able to fly anywhere in the world and have the lifestyles of the rich and famous. Nothing wrong with all of that. It's lovely. Nothing wrong. Just recognizing that in my particular life and the fulfillment and the joy that I experience is about this recognition of this being alive and coming through for the good of all.
Mm-hmm. The beauty of that is in its simplicity. Because when our happiness is an inside job, the external appearance doesn't impact the level of happiness. The external appearance is like, oh, this is here now. Okay, what's this about? And it's the same thing whether it's politics, religion, family issues, relationships. It just doesn't matter. It's the same thing. Oh, what's this for? Because it's always here. We always recognize that when whatever's showing up in our experience is our divine playground. It's the divine playground for us, designed just to set itself even freer. Because this is all it freeing itself, it expanding itself, this that is doing the works. And that's the other reason, by the way, to just drop into the present moment, is because it takes the doer out of the that frantic fix-it doer out of the equation, and just lets this do the work, which it does so magnificently.
Nothing unreal can cause harm is because as we live out of the center of this paradox, centered in our stillness, in the, withinness, where nothing is actually ever even happening, in mid this creative, dynamic, expressive, beautiful motion that's aliveness, that's life itself, this abundant life. And we experience so much of this being harmful, right? So on this particular date, we're on the heels of a school shooting. And I cannot deny my humanness that says harm was caused. I simply cannot. That's a kind of spiritual bypassing that we're pointing to. So we're not saying that's not real, and we're not saying that harm didn't get caused. So nothing unreal can cause harm. It's beginning to point to something about the stillness, about the non-moving center of our being that cannot be harmed, but is here touching down in life where we in our humanness do experience harm. No denial of that, but a bringing forth of a grace, of a sense of connection, of being held in our grief, in our lostness, in our loneliness, in our shock. And at the same time, in holding all of the beings that are down there going through all of this difficulty, abject, horrific loss, we're seeing something really beautiful emerge right out of the middle of that. And we were just talking about this, these young kids, and how people are making decisions based on the leadership that's coming through these children, our youth, our next generation coming up, who are expressing so beautifully and so clearly the insanity has got to stop. Even in the midst of being belittled and shamed and blamed and torn apart, they're just staying right there, staying clear, showing up and saying, we're done with this, and we're even coming for those of you who are supporting this insanity in going on. And there's change that's happening as a result of that. That, we would say, is this love that is the holy fool, engaging, come what may, standing in the truth, speaking forth the truth of our unity. And that's all inclusive. It's inclusive of every molecule of existence. Nothing is left out. Spirit and matter are one. Our experience and divinity, one. There's only one here.
And it's all real.
So that makes it all real. Even though it's ephemeral, we're aware of its constant change, right? Buddha talked about impermanence. Everything is in constant change and motion. We hold things statically because we think it gives us comfort or stability. It doesn't. It tends to limit us. And until we really recognize our essential true nature that doesn't change and doesn't move, is always here, we tend to really be grabbing and holding and trying to get something to stay. And that just gets us in trouble.
Makes us really, really tired.
And that's called attachment by the Buddha. And so non-attachment is the recognition, if it's all this and this is what's here, even though she may disappear, nothing has gone away.
There's a paragraph here in the book. I just opened up the book to see what this particular chapter had to say about it's all real. And there was, as she was reading this, my eyes dropped to this one paragraph. I'm just going to read it real quickly. The mystery freely experiences not being free and doesn't believe it for 1 second while an Academy Award-winning performance is ongoing. All the world's a stage, and all the men and women merely players. They have their exits and their entrances, and one man in his time plays many parts. Says that fool, a.k.a. Shakespeare. Exit stage left. It's the Truman Show, and we're being let out of the enclosed and managed false environment of a fake scripted dramedy of epic proportions right into the divine dramedy of the improvisational real. No script, an unknown cast, an ever-changing set, all orchestrated by an invisible director and producer.
So take a moment now, just as you're receiving all of this information, to let it come really in. And remember your question, your curiosity at the beginning. And if it comes to you to ask a question, feel free to type it in, and we'll be watching to see it show up on the screen and do our best to answer you. And also feel free later on today, if something comes in and you want to clarify or you want to ask a question, come back on the page, get it in there, and we'll be there to respond.
And this video will be posted up after we shut her down. It'll be posted back up on the Facebook page. So all questions, anytime, feel free to put them out there and we'll get back to you.
So real for me has the double meaning. For a long time I used to write capital R real, because I was speaking to the infinite invisible as what is real. And that infinite invisible making itself real, known, alive. And then with the inclusion of my small r real, small self reality, as the discovery, as Amaya was saying earlier, about how do these meet? How do these come together? Because I'd find myself in this dichotomy, right? Where here's my experience, my subjective experience, suffering. And here's this truth. Something that I knew inside myself was actual, and I knew this thing that was going on here was not based in that. And not being able to dismiss it because it kept showing up. Would not leave me alone.
That's the way the Holy Fool works.
Here again. Just when you thought you'd completed me. I'm back. As they leave, they should do a little Arnold Schwarzenegger. I'll be back.
Because they will be.
And, you know, so we go through our resistance. And, of course, our encouragement here is to not resist the resistance, let alone not resist the experience. It's allowingness. It's letting be our experience to be as it is, even in this dichotomy, this tension between what we know to be capital R real and what we're experiencing to be subjective small r real. And be in this tension and be in this dynamic and even in the friction. Even let there be a discussion and an argument, you know. It's like, because lots of times what we'll find is that what's rising up in our system are the places where we feel like the truth or the divine or love or grace hasn't shown up, has failed us, has left us in the dust and in the dark. And part of our wholeness, part of our movement is to let this surface, which life will bring it forth, you can count on it, so that it can finally just simply be accepted, as valuable, as something that's saying, I want to come home too. I want to be let into this come as you are party. I want to come as I am. I want to be here. I don't want to have to change. I don't want to have to rearrange to be loved and accepted. Because if we get down into the truth and really tell it, that's it. I want to be loved and accepted as I am. And when that happens, which for me really began as an internal connection with the presence, this love coming in, this unconditioned positivity coming in and going, it's okay. You are just fine as you are. You don't need to change. You don't need to rearrange. And as the real meets the small real reality in this pleasant place of be as you are, be as you are, be as you are, there's something alchemical and magical that happens there that's not a technique, and believe me,
you can't do it.
I know a lot of them. They don't work. Bottom line, it's just being in it.
Yeah.
Being in it without denying it's real, it's not real, none of that. It's just, this is what's here. This is what's alive in me in this moment. And the argument, the discussion, the dialectic between the two, and in that, the allowingness is already the third point. We talk a lot in the Holy Fool about the power of three. We even have a reading that involves the power of three. And it's all based on our triune nature, or the sacred Trinity. And if you're familiar with the different religions, you'll see they've all got a Trinity. They're all working out of this dynamic. So it's not just the yin and the yang, but it's also the spaciousness within the yin and the yang, which is completely unconditioned and totally aware and present, that brings forth a reconciling energy, a movement of grace itself. And we have been so often delighted and surprised because we could never have conceived and said, that's what I want. We didn't know. And that's part of it too. Not knowing how this gets resolved, but being open to that there is an infinite intelligence. There is a love. There is a presence that even if we can't feel it, even if it feels like it's some dream we had long ago or some nice book we read or something that happened, but we're not anywhere near it, we act with an act of faith, a leap of faith that says, I'm going to take the chance that it's here anyway.
As we enter into the portals that she's referring to, because each one of these cards is a portal and opens a portal for us, the small me, the little R real she's talking about, and the big R real, that's when they begin to blend together into simply this. Simply this. The little me is no longer little. The little me is this that is. And thoughts manifest nearly instantaneously. It's the world that we are shifting into.
And the way of being. We have another card. I think it's called Living Bass-Ackwards. Because under conditions of the way human beings live, the functioning is actually backwards to the way true nature functions and the way our systems are designed to function in harmonic unity as this is flowing forth through us. And so our unlearning is how to stop living backwards.
And that's the comment that one of you made, was that it's backwards. And yes, indeed, it is backwards from everything you've ever been taught. Because we've been taught to fix ourselves, to make our lives better, to do all these things, rather than to be present, to fully let the present moment enter into our systems and have us. And there's something in our systems because we've been taught and trained so long, and of course it's anti-ego to some degree. The ego eventually gets to be included too, but it just doesn't make sense. It feels backwards. So every time you think that you're on track and you're doing it, you might want to look to see whether you're working backwards or whether you're actually present. And the thing for me that's worked the best for all of these years is just to simply notice, oh, I'm spinning. Or, oh, I'm trying to fix something. Oh, I don't like that. Oh, I have an opinion on that. Oh, that makes me want to cringe. Oh, those are the things that are just kind of like the Dharma bell that says, ding, you're doing it backwards. And then all I have to do, because as soon as I recognize I'm doing it backwards, is guess what? I'm present again. I'm present to the fact that I was doing it backwards. And I'm present to the fact that I was trying to avoid the energy that's in my body right now that's saying, hey, this feels uncomfortable. And every time we're feeling discomfort, it's simply let's make it awesomely. It's awesomely a divine message saying, hey, you're stuck here. Let me help you. Let me help you get unstuck. Would you like a little bit of freedom? That's what the Holy Fool, that which we are, is always asking us. Would you like a little more freedom? I'm trying to expand myself. Can I do it through you?
One of the phrases that comes to mind often, and one of the questions I frequently ask people who get confused, or they're pushing really hard to get something, and it's not working, they're running up against the wall, particularly in relationship, for example, trying to get that relationship to work, trying to get through the barriers. And there's so much that goes into that. And when we ask the question, what does love want to do? And we open into letting love have its way with us. Stop trying to get somewhere. Be here. And be in that question. I really love really good questions. And just being in them. Because that's the beginning of letting this have its way. What does love want to do? How can I let love have its way right here, right now, in me? Even in the midst of feeling abjectly sorrowful, disconnected, out of touch with it. What? Love? What? Here?
What's that Holy Fool up to now?
What? Is this real? Be really surprised at how often in our living backwards we're living without the presence of love.
So let's just go ahead and stop for a moment here and
be real.
Just be real.
Tell the truth.
Tell the truth. And I want you to say out loud right where you're at, I am the Majesty. And then feel that in your system. And those times when you're so caught in, I'm not the Majesty. Sometimes just standing here right in the middle of the room and saying, I am the Majesty. I don't know what the heck is going on here, but I'm going to trust that it is love unfolding. It changes everything and it brings you just right back here now.
One of the beautiful things that I've found with these kinds of phrases, because one of the things that's happening is we are disidentifying, but there is also an identifying with our true nature. So when we say something like, I am love, or I am the Majesty, and we bring that into our systems, we'll start to notice what's going,
baloney.
And I often wonder, what is it going to take to make a believer out of that? because we believe we're not okay. If we really tell the truth, we really believe we're not okay. We have actually become convinced that that's what's true. And completely forgetting our original cause, our original blessing, our original state of innocence and beauty, the immaculate perfection of our true nature. It's all somewhere off, somewhere else, like it's not here.
It can't be
it's
here.
Not real.
Not in this body. Not. She's short. She's got a few extra pounds on her. She's all these things. It
She's
can't be
forgetful.
here.
She's not nice.
She has these thoughts go through her head that aren't very friendly sometimes.
She just can't get it together. Not for the life of her. There's always something that can be pointed to within the dualistic realm of imperfection, bad, wrong, not okay, not good enough, all of that stuff. All of that's come, as we say, not real, comes from the conditioned mind in duality. That's the only place in all of existence, of all of this creative life force, of all of our true nature, the only place such duality exists is right here in this small little realm of the human world. That believes duality is real, that there's a separation between the material and the spiritual, ourselves and what we are. That's the whole problem. And so every day we get to encounter, and we get to do this many times every day, our experience as is, in the middle of, separation, suffering. That's our Dharma bell. I'm not happy. I'm uncomfortable. I'm upset. I'm da-da-da-da-da. Ding, 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 ding. Flag, flag, flag.
Neon.
And all that means is to stop right here and be aware. Tell the truth.
Yeah.
That's all. This is what's real for me. This is what's alive for me. This is what's happening.
This is what's here now. And we're embarrassed by the fact that what's here now appears to be less than perfect.
Ugly instead of beautiful.
Yeah.
And with the seeing of the heart, when it's open, it's all beautiful. It's all this. Even the garbage heaps. I mean, I love these artists that are going out to these huge garbage heaps and making art out of garbage. And that's creative life. It's making art. Everything is art. It's this creative, alive, dynamic presence. And the artwork is not static. It's not like this painting that stays the same. It's not like this carpet behind us that looks the same way every day. It's constant changing art. The creator is at work with his artwork all the time. Her artwork all the time. This dynamic aliveness of the polarities in the triune movement of impermanence, change, constant.
Okay, I just had a picture go through my mind. I'm sorry. You just really messed with me. I'm rising out of the garbage. I am the garbage that's being made into art all the time. It's wonderful. Really, we call it garbage because garbage is what we want to throw away.
Yeah.
And so we are the garbage, but we're also the artists going in. We are this that's creating the art and this which the art is created out of. Oh, it's... Oh, we are holy, foolish mystery.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What a delightful morning. We had no idea how long this was going to run, and just wanted to go in the flow. And we would like to open up for any questions you might have. If so, just type them on in, and I've responded to a couple so far already. But if you have any questions, if not, and they come later, during the course of the day, just a couple times, stop. I am the majesty. Allow yourself to feel that in your cells. That's, by the way, proof when you feel that majesty in your cells that you and the mystery, the spirit, the holy fool are not two. You are one, merged. You are the way God gets to earth here. Can't do it without us humans. We are absolutely critical to the design. So if there's any, I'm going to check and see if there's any questions.
Yeah, the beauty of we finding our fulfillment in our true nature, in the abundant life. And as it comes forward and lives through us as the holy fool, our true nature is actually fulfilling its own potential as these immaculate, amazing human beings with the capacity, the structure, the design to be consciously alive as this. I mean, when you look at it, wow. And then the phrase, made in the image and likeness, it takes on a whole nother level of understanding. So where so many religions seem like they're dismissing the fleshly body or saying it's the cause of all the problem, we're down in our bellies big time, where the aliveness is coming forth in action, bringing this dynamism to life. And to recognize, wow, humanness is essential, just as essence is essential.
We have a comment here that I would like to comment back on. And it says, "I love you, ladies," is the comment. And I want to say, I love you back. We love you back. What's there not to love here? It's all this. And the individual formations known as people, as us. We couldn't have this experience without this. We are absolutely, incredibly, magnificently a part of the puzzle.
Each one of us is essential.
And that means you too.
Mm-hmm. And our uniqueness is part of that essential. No two snowflakes alike.
So go get your hat. If you don't own one, get one and be the holy fool you are. I thought the unicorn was, since I had a unicorn show up at the house one time, I thought a unicorn was a pretty appropriate headdress for me. And, of course, the top hat next door is pretty cute, too.
The master of ceremonies is on deck. And just a reflection. Just a reflection of your own inner master, the holy fool. We love you as you are. We look forward to many further interactions. This will take different shapes and forms as we go forward, but we will be here, and we are here for you. Thank you for joining us.
Namaste.
Aloha. So much love.
Adiosa.